If you asked a man of today why he followed certain trails through the woods, he might answer, "I'm following the deer tracks." Or perhaps, "I'm looking for berries." Even less likely would he pause to say, "I'm following the ants." Yet it's entirely possible that those silent, slow-moving insects guided some of our earliest ancestors to survival itself. Welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to talk about why ancient hunters followed the path of ants. They weren't chasing deer, they weren't following footprints, they were watching ants. Silent, small, and often ignored, ants became the most trusted guides for ancient hunters, who understood something the modern world has forgotten. Where ants walk, survival follows. Long before maps or compasses, before tracking dogs or drones, hunters studied nature with absolute focus. Among the shifting winds, moving shadows, and vanishing trails, there was one constant: the unbroken lines of ants, flowing through the forest with purpose. While predators left scattered paths, ants carved roads with direction. Every step, every turn meant something. The elders knew this. And so, they began to chart what they saw, linking each ant march to landmarks: the curve of a tree, the bed of a stream, the shape of a rock. And so the first maps of the forest were born, not on paper, but in the minds of men, passed down through stories around the fire. This is what we will talk about today. So let's begin. The ants never lied. They always marched toward food, water, and safety. They avoided danger instinctively. When birds flew low or the ground trembled, ants vanished underground minutes before the predator appeared. Hunters watched. They waited. They learned that if ants turned, something bigger had crossed their path. If they scattered, danger was close. But if they moved steady and strong, the way was safe. More than once, tribesmen found hidden water sources deep in drought-struck lands just by trailing a line of ants through the dust. They located nests of edible roots, swarms of insects rich in protein, and trees bearing fruit, all discovered without sound, only by observation. But it wasn't just about resources. Ants led them to abandoned dens where predators once slept, to fallen trees where birds nested, to paths the wind couldn't erase. In battle, warriors scattered, crushed ant trails to confuse enemies skilled in natural tracking. In peace, they sat beside ant hills to learn the mood of the land. Was it calm or ready to shift? For ants carried messages from below the earth, from the heart of the living soil. They reported on dryness, on new roots pushing up, on grubs tunneling through. Nothing escaped their notice, and nothing was too small for them to ignore. For these people, the forest was a library, and the ants were its readers. They knew how to listen to the rustle of leaves, the babble of brooks, the sigh of the trees. But above all, they listened to the ants, their patient, persistent wisdom. You see, the art of tracking is older than human history. It predates language, tools, even consciousness. It is a skill as old as life itself. Our earliest ancestors didn't inherit the earth. They found it already full. Plants, animals, insects, and even microorganisms had been there for millions of years, thriving in a delicate balance. From the first moment they set foot on the African savanna, our ancestors had to understand this balance, respect it, adapt to it. In doing so, they discovered the rules of survival. One of these rules was to follow the ants. But how did they do it? Well, tracking is a holistic practice. It means paying attention to everything and nothing. Being hyper-aware of your surroundings while also letting go of distractions. It is a paradox that can only be learned through years of dedicated practice. The first rule of tracking is to have the right mindset. You must approach the natural world with humility, curiosity, and respect. Only then can you hope to understand its language. Next, you need to develop your senses. Tracking is mostly done with the eyes. But to see properly, you need to see with all your senses. Listen to the wind, feel the temperature, smell the air. Each sense will tell you something the other cannot. Once you have mastered the basics, you are ready to learn the language of the forest. This is where the ants come in. Their paths are a form of communication, a way of conveying information about the environment. By following their trails, you can learn about the forest, its resources, and its dangers. It should be noted that not all ants leave behind trails. Some, like leafcutter ants, leave a pheromone trail for their colony mates. Others, such as army ants, don't leave trails at all, relying instead on their keen eyesight to navigate. However, the majority of ant species do leave behind trails, making them excellent trackers. To follow an ant trail, you must first find one. This can be tricky, as ant trails are often faint and difficult to see. Look for broken leaves, disturbed soil, or other signs of movement. Once you have located a trail, follow it. But don't just walk along the trail, study it. Look for breaks, changes in direction, or other points of interest. These may indicate important landmarks or resources. When following an ant trail, it is important to be patient. Ant trails can be long and winding, and it may take time to reach your destination. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results immediately. Just keep following the trail and trust that you will eventually reach your destination. This brings us back to the ancient hunters. They understood that following ant trails was not a guarantee of success, but it was a good place to start. They also knew that ants are not perfect, that they make mistakes and can lead you astray. Therefore, they combined ant tracking with other methods, such as reading the stars, tracking animals, and following landmarks. In addition to following ant trails, ancient hunters also used ants to help them find food. Ants are known to be excellent foragers, and they often return to the same feeding spots day after day. By following ants to their feeding grounds, ancient humans could find plants and animals to hunt or gather. This is how they found some of the earliest sources of food in the wild. They simply followed the ants. Finally, ants were also used to help ancient humans defend themselves. Ants are powerful creatures, and they will not hesitate to attack if they feel threatened. This made them useful as a defense mechanism, as ancient humans could use ants to protect themselves from predators. They would simply release ants into the area, and the ants would quickly deal with the threat. In conclusion, ants were an integral part of ancient human life. They were used for everything from finding food to defending against predators. Ants are still used today for similar purposes, such as in agriculture and pest control. So the next time you see an ant, remember that these tiny creatures have been helping humans for thousands of years. Who knows what secrets they could share if we took the time to listen. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Why do you think ancient hunters followed the path of ants? How do you think they benefited from this practice? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. By doing so, you will be showing us your support, which we truly appreciate and cherish. Keep an eye out for more videos from us. Until then, take care and stay curious.